Valuation and a first on CNBC interview Cleveland-Cliffs CEO Lourenco Goncalves. Thank you so much for being here, Lourenco. So let's start first of all with U.S. Steel's perspective, basically saying that you've refused to sign a customary NDA that would have helped them assess the valuation of the stock component in your offer and the regulatory risk associated with the deal. Is that true? And if so, why deny them that NDA, which is seen as pretty customary in the M&A world?
It's not true. Actually, I was working diligently with my legal advisors to get to language that I could sign. But they were hard to move, and they were working from their position of delay tactics. They start with the 18 months standstill provision that would be absurd. We were narrowing down the time for something more manageable, but then they were basically demanding that I would not talk to the USW. And talking to the USW is mandatory because they have a provision in their labor agreement that gives the USW the opportunity, the possibility to counteroffer any offer. So I was able to clear that, preempting that, and I have full support of the USW, and they will not support anyone else other than Cleveland-Cliffs. And so that's not something that I can change, it's the past. So that's why I did not sign the NDA.
Because you were still seeking government approvals, what was their rationale for, not wanting you to go forward with that?
We believe that we have a compelling case that the government should be not only approving but enthusiastically supporting this deal. We will finally have, after a few decades, a steel maker that is among the top 10 in the world. Steel business is a world business. Our main competitor is always imports, and a lot of dumping, a lot of subsidies, governments trying to chime into our markets. So we are finally having one that will be at the same level of ArcelorMittal and Nippon Steel and POSCO and all the Koreans. And by the way, all these companies in the top 10, they were built based on mergers and acquisitions. The number one is Baowu. The Bao is Bao Steel from Shanghai. The Wu is Wuhan from Wuhan City. So even in China, they have merged. ArcelorMittal is a merger between Arcelor and Mittal. And Arcelor by itself was a merger between Aceralia, Arbed, and Usinor. So I'm using the playbook, and I am extracting the synergies and creating jobs and union jobs. That's a good thing for the country. That's a good thing for Cleveland-Cliffs.
I want to follow up on the jobs aspect in just a minute, but in terms of the regulatory approval, this regulatory environment is notoriously difficult relative to what's happened in the past. The combined share of exposed automotive steel would be over 50% of the market if this deal were to go through, according to KeyBank analysts, and it would also constitute more than 50% of the carbon sheet consumption. Both of those likely to present regulatory issues, especially in this current environment, no?
You're using the wrong source. You're using someone that's not seeing the big picture. If you narrow down the geographical area, you're going to say that here in Cleveland, I have 100%, because there is only one steel mill and I own that mill. But the problem is the market's not just the United States. We compete against steel coming from South Korea. We compete against steel coming from Japan. The transplants like the steel from Japan. The transplants from Korea like the steel from Korea. Same thing with the Germans. The specifications are written in abroad. Even companies that are members of the Detroit Three, they have headquarters in one of them that has a headquarters in Europe. So the fight is in a much bigger geography. And in that regard, we are very small, even after the merger. Another thing is that not only steel, a lot of the materials used in a car for exposed parts, for doors, for roofs, for ceilings, for everything that you see in a car in the outside, the exposed parts, are aluminum. I drive a car that the outside is aluminum, not steel. So we have to compete against alternate materials, and no car manufacturers is shy to replace steel with another materials if they can. So we need to have scale. We need to be able to compete. We need to continue to create jobs in the United States, and that's what we're doing.
Street sort of looked askance at the free cash flow profile of U.S. Steel versus you, Lourenco, and some wonder what they have to offer you. Are you characterizing them as sort of beachfront property, or is this sort of a gut job that you'd have to renovate?
No, I think U.S. Steel is a great company. I believe that the management is doing a phenomenal job in terms of creating the basis for what we are going to assume, because this deal will close. We are going to buy. We are going to be able to finish the deal, and with the support of the USW, we're going to have an American champion among the top 10 in the world. But as far as cash flow, we provide them with more than cash flow. We have cash flow. They have cash expenditures to finish their construction, which of course we will do, and use our cash to help their de-risk their CapEx program. But most importantly, we are going to have the ability to support the mini mill with our scrap company. They don't have that. We will bring that. That we will support the blast furnace with our HBI. They don't have that. We have that. So it's a really synergetic deal. $500 million is kind of a conservative number. We are going to pass that number.
What gives you the confidence that this deal will close, Lourenco? Now U.S. Steel basically has a for sale sign up saying they're assessing strategic alternatives. Would you consider doing an all cash deal? I mean, what has to take place from this point forward to, get this deal closed?
Leslie, it's Lourenco, by the way. It's not Lourenco. But anyway, the certainty that the deal will close is because the USW, the union, has a clause in their labor agreement with U.S. Steel that gives the union the ability to counter any offer if they don't like the company that's trying to acquire a portion or the entire company. And they put it in writing, and I made it public, that they will exercise the right if U.S. Steel shops the deal and comes up with another deal. And by the way, with a premium of 43%, my offer is more than reasonable. It's a rich offer. So I believe that the company is worth what I offered. I am not doing any favors to them, but this is a deal for people that understand M&A, not people that hide behind consultants, not people that talks about the regulators and they don't have a clue how to deal with the regulators. My track record, I approved 2 deals in the last 3 years. I acquired AK Steel, I passed with flying colors. I acquired ArcelorMittal a few months later, both in 2020, and I could not find one person that would say that deal will get approved. We passed without second review. So we understand the process. We have experience. Our attorneys are well prepared. We have an economist on retainer. That's someone that has done that for us several times. We are fully confident that we are going to continue to generate jobs, and that's a very important portion that people neglect. Our track record is we acquired 2 companies, and instead of shrinking the workforce, we increased the size of the workforce by 1,700 employees. Revenues went from $2 billion in 2019 to $23 billion in 2022. Pro forma will be $44 billion. We are happy with the size. I don't think we're going to be done at number 10, but being number 10 in the world is a good start for the United States of America.
So then, Lourenco, just real quickly, I just had one more quick question for you, which is the offer that's...
My name is Lourenco. Go ahead, please.
That's on the table. Is that your final offer? Are you willing to go back to the table to negotiate from here?
I negotiate with the other party. I don't negotiate through the press, but I appreciate the opportunity to not only explain the deal, but also to say loud and clear that our partnership with the USW, the union, is ironclad. There is no daylight between myself and Tom Conway, and he's my partner, and we're going to do this together. This is a deal for the shareholders of Cleveland-Cliffs, the bondholders of Cleveland-Cliffs, the workforce of Cleveland-Cliffs, and the unions represented by Cleveland-Cliffs, including the USW, the UAW, the IAM, all my partners.
Well, the market seems to hear your compelling rationale loud and clear. Cleveland Cliffs shares up more than 5%, largely over the course of this interview. So we appreciate it. Lourenco, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your perspective. We will be following this one closely from here on out.
Okay, thank you very much, Lourdes.
Still to come, the CEO of Wheaton Precious